Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Deus Ex Mankind Divided Blind. Now, last time I just barely explored Jensen's bedroom, which leaves all the rest of his apartment, which God only knows how long will that take me, but I'm actually loving every second of it, so let's continue. I've looked through his books already, as well as the postcards from Detroit, so let's check the bathroom, I guess. Dirty clothes. Apparently I can run the washer and the dryer. I always like those little interactive things in games, like I can presumably also flush the toilet, right? Yeah. I don't know why I care so much for it, but I always find it cool when there are small items in the game's world that don't even necessarily need to serve any practical purpose, but they just make it feel like the world is lived in, you know. Painkillers on the shelf. I've always found it kind of depressing, the amount, even back in Human Revolution, the amount of painkillers that Jensen keeps in his apartment, because obviously that's probably supposed to signify the huge amount of pain that he's constantly in due to his mechanical augmentations, which is really sad. But he does have a nice enough view. Obviously the old tenement buildings are pretty run down, but still, overall I would say I prefer this kind of old historical architecture as opposed to like modern skyscrapers and stuff. Although, speaking of skyscrapers, I wonder what that is. It almost looks like some kind of fortress or a prison. It doesn't look like an office building. There's a police drone right outside the window, presumably spying on me. But there is also a newspaper, so let me take a look. Yeah, it is a different issue than the one in Dubai. Although, funnily enough, there is a report about what went down in Dubai in the first place. Expel Tower operative disappeared, is dead. John Trent. So yeah, he was under the pseudonym Shepherd. But they didn't report on who did this, which is interesting because from the Illuminati Council meeting, it seemed that they were pretty like it was pretty much their goal for Jensen and his unit to be the witness of what happened. So presumably, even though it was also strongly implied that it was them who ordered the attack being carried out, so clearly there's some agenda there. But I wonder, why didn't they report on it if they want the information to be spread? Now, I still find this extremely unnerving. The fact that there is just, on the front page of a newspaper, there's literally an ad for antidepressants, so that you don't kill yourself because of how shit the world is. Police blunder leads to mistrial in Prague. Okay. I'm again not quite sure how the columns are supposed to work. They don't always scroll properly when I click at them. But anyway, 6 members of the Dvali crime family walked out of the courtroom as free men. State police had accidentally destroyed evidence. Yeah, sure, it was an accident. Sure. In a sex trafficking case. Wow. That's pretty gruesome. Judge has no choice but to declare a mistrial once officer testified that the handwritten ledger used to track the buying and selling of prostitutes has been shredded. The officer responsible for the mistake, yeah, sure, it was a mistake, obviously, no corruption there, marks the third case this year in which, and again, this is literally the same story again from the beginning. I have no idea how the columns work, but this marks the third case this year in which the members of the Valley organization, yeah, and it's the escaped due to bureaucratic error. It's the same organization again. Isn't that non-suspicious at all? If corruption exists, yeah, sure, it surely doesn't. Surely an honest mistake. Everybody could have made that. Apparently I can also take a shower. Oh, I guess it's a good idea after waking up. What's that? Presumably used for cleaning pipes and stuff. Well, interesting. Jensen's augmented feet are weird because he has actual heels. Like, obviously, human feet have heels as part of their anatomy, but I mean heels as in a boot heel. Like, there's a noticeable difference in height between his actual heel, the heel part of his feet, and his, like the rest, the sole of his feet. So I'm not sure why is that. It seems weird, and I wonder if there's any like mechanical reason for that, or if is it a stylistic choice. Anyways, it's pretty weird, I would say. Overall, I looked at his books already, so let me continue. Okay, there's a door to leave, and of course a selection of trench coats, which I would presumably put on if I wanted to leave, but I don't want to leave yet, so let me keep exploring. Now I can supposedly use the TV to talk to David Sarif, which I will definitely do, but just a little bit later. More money, don't mind if I do. A telescope. Interesting. So again, it might be a part of Jensen wanting to pick up a hobby just to occupy his mind, but then he also has a book on astrology here, which I find immensely weird, because I would understand if he was into astronomy, because you know, because he might have found it interesting to observe the movement of the celestial bodies and whatever it can tell him about the universe. But astrology is specifically not a science. Like, astrology is pretty much bullshit. It's mysticism. Astrology ascribes a mystical meaning to the movement of the stars, which horoscopes are based on astrology, which I don't really like. It surprises me that Jensen would be into something like that, but oh well. There's an ebook here, so let me... for someone who has so many trash cans, he surely doesn't really know how to use them. Oh, more crafting parts. More books as well. Super electromagnetic fields. That's also from Human Revolution, a reused asset. Let me read that ebook. Interpol case file. The Juggernaut Collective originated when the hacker named Eli posted a badly written call to arm types message on Darknet, filled with misspellings and grammatical errors. It invited those disillusioned with the stranglehold 1%ers have on our world to join him in attacking, exposing and spoiling their plots. Oh, excuse me, spoiling their plots. I wonder if this is a reference to like the Chan culture in real life. The group first made headlines to decimate the page industry sponsored event because like you have to admit that for all of the like the magnitude of mental retardation that you can find on like 4chan, some of the things they've done, I'm not speaking from a moral standpoint, just simply from a technical standpoint, they've been pretty impressive. Like the way they were networking efforts of multiple people to quickly find out information, triangulate locations of things they were looking for, like with that Shia LaBeouf flag about the He Will Not Divide Us event. That was pretty impressive, and it seems to me this sort of refers to a similar type of situation, because it all started with this badly spelled, borderline nonsensical message, and yet it somehow evolved into this giant powerful group of hackers. And it's also interesting that it says that the Eli was replaced online by the new nom de plume, Janus, which makes me think again that Janus is probably not even a person, it's just a persona of the group. It's like a like their spokesperson. It's a person that's supposed to be on the head of it, but what I think it is either a group of people or it's entirely uncentralized, and no, that's not the word. How do you call the opposite of centralized? Decentral. Well, anyway, it's not centralized, and I would assume that if this Janus is not a group of people, then like presumably they are all him, right? For example, they take turns to determine which one of the hackers is Janus for the time being, as opposed to this just being a single person all the time. Under Janus's leadership, the collective have become effective at bankrupting Fortune 500 companies. Okay, that's pretty impressive, I must say. Recruiting a number of experienced agents to assist them. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Human Traffic, another book from Human Revolution. A baseball bat. Why would Jensen have a baseball bat? It's not like he needs it to defend himself, because obviously his bare hands are dangerous enough for that. I can move a picture frame. Is that a cadre from the Night Watch? I'm going to look it up and try to find the source of this painting, because I feel like it might be a part of the Night Watch, which is a very famous painting. And it would kind of fit with, because Jensen used to work first as policeman and then as corporate security, so he would kind of relate to that. Multi-tool, okay. I can't really open the refrigerator, I can just move it, or at least I could if I still had the AUG. Yeah, for someone who has so many trash cans, he sure doesn't know how to use them properly. More absinthe. Wait, he has assigned baseball. Huh, so maybe he's just a fan of some baseball team from Detroit or something. Anything new on the radio?
In a little while, Steve's gonna hook me up with some of our attachés out in Seattle's Fortress of Solitude. But until then, I have to reiterate some things. You know, we haven't heard much about this Task Force 29 division lately. The one Interpol created in 28 after that quote-unquote horrifying breakdown of cooperation between the intelligence-gathering organizations worldwide. Not like we were expecting to, of course. I mean, it's not like they could come out and say, we've created a special intelligence force of natural-born killers who can enter your country whenever it wants, bust into your house, and detain you for who knows how long if you happen to buy a pack of cigarettes from the local 7-Eleven guy. But if you read what I'm reading these days, and by that I mean UN Resolution 0451, which ratified the deal, you'd be appalled. Not only do these guys have no restrictions as far as international boundaries go, they're charged with both preventing attacks and investigating them after they happen. That's right, geniuses! TF-29 gets to pick and choose which attacks to stop and which they want to roll forward. Ooh, I hear them saying as they rub their pudgy, world-dominating hands together. I feel the need for a little mass destruction today to remind the plebes why they need to be policed. Or, ooh, I need a little terror blood foil to remind them that we're here to protect them, not control them. It's brilliant, followers. Fucking New World Order brilliant.
Again, the thing here is, and I guess part of the joke is that he's, again, pretty much 100% spot on, right? Because the whole task force is like a prototype of UNATCO, and obviously UNATCO was Illuminati controlled, so he's pretty much 100% correct. It's an international and extranational organization that can do whatever they want anywhere in the world. And what he said was actually really interesting, because apparently it's not only he said they do not only like combat terrorism, but they also like stop the actual terrorist attacks, but they also investigate them. So again, what he said was 100% correct. It can and probably does work in the exact way he said. You know, the Illuminati themselves are choosing which attacks to investigate and which to let go, and at what time. So that's pretty horrifying, actually. Okay, I can... Wait. Is that sausages with bacon? That seems a little bit redundant, because, you know, sausages are already meat and then you've got bacon on top. Not that I'm complaining, I'd probably eat that. I like both sausages and bacon, so having them together wouldn't be bad at all. I'm going to take the beer, maybe just to sell, or what else does he have? Apparently some cereal called Kozielny Skrytek, which unfortunately I don't know the first word, but Skrytek means something along the lines of a dwarf, but a dwarf of a fairy tale provenance, as you can tell by the mascot. Coffee mugs, blah blah blah, oven, nothing in the oven. Oh, I can open the cabinets. More money. Now, it's interesting but also kind of nonsensical how he has a bunch, like at least 5 different debit cards with money lying all over his house. Although, I guess I guess the credits, the cards, aren't really cards, like in a way that we would understand it today. I think this is actual currency, like they replaced banknotes with this. So I guess it kind of makes sense. It's like having actual bills scattered around your house, which is totally reasonable. So I might have overreached there. Drawer, nothing in here. More trash. And more cereal. Apparently he's a big fan of cereal. What's this? Zdrowa zielenina. So that's some healthy greens. Utensils. Krupawy pirat. So crunchy pirate. That's a reference to some American brand, right? But I'm not sure which one. I just remember there's a very popular American cereal with the crunchy something in the name. Froggy something. I don't know that word, unfortunately. And those are krupawe roboty, so crunchy robots. More of the healthy greens. Wouldn't really guess that Jensen is into healthy greens in the first place, but oh well. Color me surprised. Think. A book about learning to let it go. That's another self-help book. It's exactly the same as the one in the bedroom, which I understand that reusing assets is a necessity in games, because otherwise they would choke your computer. Even this apartment would simply destroy it just because of the memory requirements. But I find that reusing assets works better if it's done with like groups of insignificant items. Like for example, those books and those books are the same, but most people like exactly the same. You can see the astrology book here, and it's also here, but most people aren't going to notice because they are insignificant enough in a group that you don't pay that much attention, whereas this is a single book, a pretty distinct one, and you have the exact copy of it around here, which I find a little bit annoying. What's here? 40 best Czech recipes. Huh, so I guess Jensen was hungry for some knedliczki or something. There's an ebook as well. About the taskforce 29. Secret fight against terrorism. Chain of coordinated bombs. So 1 year after the end of Deus Ex Human Revolution, coordinated bomb attacks, suspecting cities, terrifying 6-hour period, 50 effective devices destroys lives and terrorized humanity. It was the tragic reason that the world finally heeded, highlighted by a press already gorging on stories of bloody terrorism, the lack of communication, cooperation, normally bound and gagged with political red tape. World leaders reached across political fences, aligned across the globe. UN mediators proposed an international cooperative force with the power to act effectively across borders. Yeah, this is pretty much a prototype to UNATCO, built upon the base of the existing G18. The effort quickly expanded to 11 more willing political participants. Also, the 29 is the number of countries that have ratified the necessary international treaties for the allowing of the operation of this task force, which, to be honest, is kind of low when you consider the actual number of countries in the world, which is around 200. But then again, the G18 countries are one of the most powerful and the most influential, and there are a lot of countries that, even if they technically didn't ratify the agreement, they couldn't do anything to stop the task force. Like, if they decided to blow something up and chase some supposed terrorist in some third world African country, then surely the country in question couldn't really do anything to effectively stop them, which I guess is kind of frightening in its own right. There's a computer here as well, and this one apparently works as opposed to the other one, which is kind of weird because you'd think Jensen would read his mail on the computer that's actually inside his bedroom as opposed to his kitchen, but let's check the mail first. Question for you. Hi Jensen. Sorry not to get back to you. I'm surprised you're asking. Only met Miller once via the NSN. Seemed more than competent. Hell of a marksman. Don't know how he ended up overseeing the Central European office. I don't understand how you ended up there either. After Detroit, blah blah blah. Adapt and react. So I guess it doesn't include the message that Jensen originally sent to him, but I guess it was first asking questions about Miller, and then asking why Jensen was assigned to Prague, in particular, Central Europe, as opposed to America, which he was inherently more familiar with. And it's actually a question I myself am interested in learning the answer to. I'm assuming for now that it's because of the high concentration of augmented people in Czech Republic, and also because of all of the special laws that were passed, that the country has become of particular interest to the Illuminati. Specs for your detailed specification for the trench coat. So apparently the trench coats he wears are custom made in Germany, which isn't that far, but still it's kind of weird how he ships them all the way from abroad. You okay? Peter Chang. I don't know that character, I don't think. He's another one from the task force, right? Director Miller. This place is a target. We are all targets. Spelled in all caps. I'm not being paranoid here. Well, to be honest, it kind of sounds like it when you type in all caps and then in an what's the word? Exclamation point. Exclamation mark. Related to the above, I changed your office password. It's now the name of the band on the shirt that Arya wore. I'm not trying to be cute or cryptic. I'm trying to be safe, again in all caps. Now, how would I know? I don't even know who Arya is. I don't think that's a character from Human Revolution. Try running through your home smart system. Let me know if you're still getting that armory glitch. Last thing I want is leave my apartment without bullets. Oh, so presumably I have like a... Hello, homeowner. Presumably I have like a hidden panel with a stash, right? Yeah, exactly. I'm going to take all of it just to sell, to be honest, because well, sell or use, because the tranquilizer I can very much use, but the lethal ammo I'm not going to need probably ever. Just because, I'm planning to play 100% non-lethal. Okay, so close wall panel.
Out of sight, out of mind.
I wonder.
I'll keep you safe.
I wonder if locking doors is ever going to matter. Like maybe if I can get robbed if I forget to do that or something. That would be immensely cool, to be honest. I've looked at the books, blah, blah, blah. What else is in here? More books, human traffic, looked at that. The HARP weather manipulation system. Oh, conversational Czech and learning Czech, one piece at a time. So I guess this answers my question. It seems that Jensen doesn't really use an OG to translate other languages. He's just a polyglot, because it seems he's been learning Czech, which means he also knows Arabic and what was the other? Chinese, which is quite impressive, I would say, for an ex-policeman slash private security type, because at the very least he knows English, Arabic, Chinese, and now Czech, which, as I said, pretty impressive. I wonder if we'll ever hear him speaking Czech as opposed to English. That would be kind of interesting. Nuclear Snake Part 1 by Francis Pritchard. Oh, that's super interesting actually. It's like a, I don't know, a screenplay or a book maybe, written by Pritchard. I would actually really like to read at least a part of it to learn what it's about. But it's kind of cute how he sent it to Jensen to presumably get feedback from him, because for all of their bickering, they clearly do like each other. Oh, and this is Jensen's and Megan's dog, Kubrick, that got euthanized in Human Revolution after Jensen was wounded, which I'm still pretty salty about, because the woman that did that didn't even know. She wasn't sure if Jensen is alive or not. She just assumed he's dead and then killed his dog on top of it, which is a pretty shitty thing to do if you ask me. More books, more boxes, more painkillers. Not particularly optimistic. Okay, before I call Sarif, I do want to watch a bit of TV, maybe.
A train station fell victim to a bombing, the third to hit Prague in recent months. Is this really the face of a pacifist? Join the discussion online and let us know what you think. This is Eliza Kassan, reporting to you live from Picus.
Wait.
The global leader in fair, unbiased, and impartial reporting.
Oh, sure. I believe in all three of those, but
Making headlines around the world.
did she really?
Our top stories. And now for a close look at events making headlines around the world. The impact of the AUG incident is still being felt 2 years after the fact. The fear, the hatred, the violence. In the northwestern United States, a group of non-augmented citizens, armed with assault rifles, have begun patrolling the streets of Lewistown, Montana. They claim the US government is not doing enough to protect them from augmented crazies. In China, meanwhile, a group of protesters demanding freedom and basic human rights for all, regardless of augmented status, have been imprisoned by the Chinese government. In apparent retribution for that act, vigilante hackers tied to the Juggernaut Collective have crashed the Shenzhen Stock Exchange. Yes, folks, these are troubled times indeed. This is Eliza Kassan, reporting to you live from Picus.
Why is the news anchor on the news winking at the audience at the end of each segment?
Excellence. Santo, restoring the past and building the future.
Rabia, that's the city for Augs.
No doubt many viewers were horrified by that story I brought to you last week, in which a suicide gunman ruthlessly attacked a small augmented community near Dar es Salaam. Today, I'm here to bring you a glimmer of hope. European-based construction giant the Santo Group has successfully convinced the Tanzanian government to become a signatory of its Safe Harbor initiative. Designed to promote the creation of safe and secure housing complexes where oppressed groups can live and work, free from persecution, this international civil engineering and action plan is the brainchild of Santo CEO, Nathaniel Brown. Its flagship project, a glittering engineered city named Rabia is slated to be publicly unveiled at one of Brown's upcoming safe harbor conventions. I, for one, cannot wait to learn more. This is Eliza Kassan, reporting to you live.
Why does she keep doing that? That's like almost unsettling. Like, I would feel immensely weird if I was watching the news and the newscaster started winking at me.
In yet another augmented terror attack, 251 passengers aboard sister airlines flight 451 were killed.
Okay, this is a repeat from the intro. Now, there's one thing I would like to comment on in particular, because I find it pretty disgusting, because apparently there's this whole safe harbor initiative which is supposed to build segregated districts or even whole segregated cities for augmented people, supposedly for their own protection. And Eliza Kassan tried to spin it as a positive, but I find it immensely disturbing that you could take such a mindset, that you could try to tell people that that segregating people that are different in their own separate part of town or even their whole separate community supposedly for their own protection is something good. Like, this surely has to be at least partially referential to actual Jewish ghettos, right? Because even the language used, she said something like they can work and entertain themselves among their own something in safety, blah blah blah, in accordance with their own traditions and whatever. Like, this is literally, if you were an anti-Semite and you wanted to justify an existence of a Jewish ghetto, you could pretty much spout the same rhetoric. You could say, there is a lot of bad people out there that supposedly would like to hurt Jews. The Jews are a close-knit community, they have their own traditions, whatever, and it's actually better for them to live together in a separate part of town, and they wouldn't even mind that much because they have a culture that brings them together. And actually the whole security part is also kind of like, because if you really wanted to play a bad faith argument with regards to the Jewish ghettos, then I guess technically speaking, a ghetto is a pretty secure community, because obviously you can't enter or leave without the proper passes and whatever. So what I'm trying to say is, I find this whole news segment and this whole idea to be immensely disturbing and bordering on disgusting, which I assume is intended, right? They are probably going to explore this whole divide between the augmented people and the non-augmented people, but that's just some beginning opinions on that here. Pretty disturbing. And with that being said, I think I'm finally ready to call Sarif.
Adam! Thanks for calling me back, son.
Sarif.
I heard about the bombing in Prague. It's all over the news. Did anyone you know get hurt?
You know me. I tend to keep to myself. I'm surprised you even know I'm here.
Interpol called me when you applied for the job, part of their extensive background checks. I gave you a glowing recommendation.
Thanks. What do you want?
What do I want? Jeez, Adam. I know I did some questionable things in the past, but a lot's happened in the last 2 years. To both of us.
To be honest, I'm not going to antagonize Sarif because, in all honesty, I think Sarif is pretty okay. even just as a person, but especially as a corporate boss in a cyberpunk setting. Like, I don't really remember him doing anything that bad in Human Revolution. And in fact, I feel like he really does care about his employees, about his company, and about the work that his company does. I feel like he really believes that the augmentations are a great potential and a great possibility for a lot of people, and I tend to agree with him on that. And I generally rather like him. Like, the worst thing he has probably done is cutting off Jensen's arms and legs and stuffing him full of advanced cybernetic augmentations. But then, first of all, if he didn't do it, then Jensen would die. And second of all, surprisingly enough, it was actually stated that he's allowed to do that in Jensen's work contract, which leads me to believe that Jensen either didn't read it in its entirety before he signed it, which is pretty foolish, or he assumed that such a situation would never happen. But either way, I don't really think you can blame Sarif in this situation. And overall, I feel like he's a pretty decent person, all things considered. So yeah, this is correct. I'm actually glad that he made it out of Panchea.
That's true. For what it's worth, I'm glad you made it out of Panchea.
Thank you. It wasn't easy, as I'm sure you know. It was a death's door by the time the rescue crews pulled me out of the wreckage, and while the doctors were stitching me back together, my company fell apart. There wasn't anything I could do to stop it, not from a hospital bed.
I heard Tai Young Medical bought everything up.
Huh. Makes sense.
The only biotech corporation that could after the incident. Our patents, our tech, everything. Oh well, sometimes one dream has to die so another can rise from its ashes.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, because obviously Tai Young Medical is backed by the Illuminati, so they would uniquely be in the position to actually come out stronger out of the whole AUG incident debacle, especially with them being prepared for it, because they were the ones, well, maybe not for the exact form of it, but they were still because they didn't know what Darrow was going to do at the end, but they were still working on the biochip way before. And I am actually interested in what happened to Megan, because I feel like the whole plot point with Megan experimenting on Jensen wasn't really resolved in Human Revolution. They met really quickly at the Omega Ranch, and then parted ways when Jensen went to Panchea, and it didn't really sound like they resolved their issues.
You heard anything from Megan?
After all we went through, I thought she'd stand by me. Still, you know, she always wanted to be at the cutting edge. She didn't see a future for herself in Detroit, so she went to VersaLife.
She moved to Hong Kong?
San Francisco. They've got an offshore research facility there named Rocaseca Beach. I'm sure you've seen it in the news.
California, huh? I wonder if she's told her mother.
You want my advice, son? Write her out of your life, because I'm damn sure she's written us out of hers.
Okay, that totally makes sense too, because obviously the outro of Human Revolution revealed that Megan was actually working for VersaLife and for Bob Page from the beginning. It's just that Jensen doesn't know it yet.
You talked to Pritchard lately?
Frank! Out of all of us, I think he's the one who's changed the least.
He'd probably tell you there wasn't anything about him that needed changing.
I'm sure he would. But when the world transforms itself the way ours has, people need to adapt or get left behind. Frank's freelance now, but he's still in computer security, still in Detroit. I don't know if he'll ever leave.
Okay.
Your message said you were going to London. Casual trip? Or is this tied to the new dream?
I'm meeting with the Santo Group, Nathaniel Brown and his investors.
Santo? They built the Udalek complex, the AUG ghetto, here in Prague. Why are you meeting with them?
Brown's got big plans. plans. He wants to focus on real solutions, ideas that look to the future. You've heard of the Safe Harbor Initiative?
I've heard of Rabia, the walled city he and his company are building in the desert for Augs.
Rabia's just a part of it. We're talking about self-sustaining, energy-efficient arcologies that can be replicated anywhere on Earth. Cities built by the augmented, for the augmented.
Where the dream of self-controlled human evolution lives on.
It may not seem like it right now, son, but one day, people will move on from the incident. And when that happens, we'll be ready for it. I'm glad we caught up, Adam. I've always tried to look out for you, you know. That bombing yesterday.
You didn't call to talk about the bombing. Just ask.
It's nothing, really. I just need a signature so I can finish filing the bankruptcy paperwork.
You need my signature?
Yeah, apparently there was some kind of bureaucratic mix-up caused by you being declared legally dead for a year. The apartment in Detroit was leased in your name even though we paid for it.
Fine. Send me the paperwork.
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it, really.
Goodbye, Sarif.
Okay, so there are two things I would like to comment on here. First of all, I'm really interested in learning how Jensen himself got out of Panchea, and I wonder if it's going to be elaborated upon, because Sarif just said that he had been declared dead for a year, which is hell of a long time, so obviously something must have happened in the meantime. I seriously doubt he was lying on the bottom of the ocean for a year. Even with his advanced augmentations, I doubt he could have survived that. And second, on the point of those segregated communities, I really feel like even disregarding the ethical aspect of it, which is obviously, like, it's obviously wrong in my opinion, but even disregarding that, I think it is also wrong on like a practical level, on a societal level, because to be honest, what this is going to do is going to make the rift between augmented people and non-augmented people even greater, because there is a lot of research about that, especially dealing with racism, that the more you meet people from other races or from other communities, from other cultures, the less suspicious of them you are, the more you start to understand them. And like the most racist people usually are people that don't really encounter people from other races that much. They just hear about them. They hear the news stories about the things that they did, or they read their particular pundits of their particular ideology that give them a colored view of the issue. And I feel like the very same thing is going to happen here. If you have the augmented people living totally separate from the non-augmented ones, then this whole divide is never going to close itself. They are just going to grow more and more apart, because regular people, they will never interact with the augmented people. They will just hear about them, and if they interact with them at all, then it will be very scarce and uncommon, and because of that it will be more difficult for them to get to know them and to understand them and to find out that they are just regular people but with a few different parts. So overall I feel that this idea is both wrong on a moral level and also stupid on like a sociological level. So, but I guess I'll see where that leads. Now, I think I'm finally ready to leave the apartment, which, exploring it, I'll just check if Sarif sent me the document. Nope. Which is kind of hilarious that... Oh, even more cash. Don't mind if I do. Let's get dressed.
Miller, it's Jensen.
It's good to finally hear from you, Agent. You doing okay?
Sorry about the downtime. I'll get to the office as soon as I can, but my Augs took a hit during the attack. I need to get them looked at.
Of course. There's a lot of work ahead of us, Jensen. I'll see you when you get in.
Dr. Kohler, I need to pay you a visit.
Jensen! Now's actually a really good time for me, like right now.
Something wrong?
There are some guys in my bookshop. Pissed off the valley gangster-looking guys. So, unless you want bloodshed the day after a terror attack...
The front door isn't the most peaceful option. I got it.
Inside the bookstore, okay, but it has been 50 minutes of me exploring Jensen's apartment, which on one hand is a little bit crazy, and on the other, I love it. Like, I am so in love with the amount of detail in the backgrounds of this game, in the environments. I feel like I can spend the next however many hours in it and love every second of it.
Umíte česky? Pomůžete mi? Já se ztratila.
Well, actually, it seems that Adam does speak Czech.
Jestli mi nepomůžete, tak to prostě řekněte. Jestli mi nepomůžete, tak to prostě řekněte.
But apparently he doesn't even respond. I'm not going to break into any of the apartments for now, just because, first of all, I'm not sure if the people would appreciate it, and second, I think I'll wait until I get some actual objectives to check out, because if I were to check every square inch of the district methodically, then I would not leave this apartment complex for like the next 4 hours probably, or something. So just to have a little more variety.
Not so long ago? Yes, Christelle. A nice girl. She used to babysit my kids.
Now this. You know, they're saying he was part of that attack. A member of ARC.
Bullshit. He is just a poor og with the wrong enhancements and the wrong connections. He outgrew his usefulness. Or they needed the apartment. Maybe for another wrench.
If that's true, they could do the same to anyone. To anyone who knows him. How long until they evict us too?
So apparently they evicted someone, an og.
No chance you'll be evicted anytime soon, right? Traitor.
Huh, I wonder, why do they refer to me as a traitor? Is it because I work for the task force and they see it as an arm of the government?
Tivolde, leave me alone, wrench. Run to your master.
Yeah, probably.
Tivolde, leave me alone, wrench. Run to your master.
Terrible, is it not? Seems anyone can be guilty by association. In fact, it is probably best no one sees us.
Huh, Golem City, huh? That's interesting, because because obviously the golem is a creature of Jewish mythology, but also the Golem of Prague is like the story of the Golem of Prague is like the most famous story about a golem, or one of the most famous, which is cool. That apparently Golem City is like a pretty much a ghetto for Augs. So you have the name Golem City that refers both to the Jews in general, to their folklore, and also to the city of Prague in particular, because it evokes the story of the Golem of Prague. So that's really cool. I'm going to leave some material, some reading material about it in the description if you want.
Skvělý. Další zatracený auk. Proč nezůstaneš s těma svejma?
I'm sure supplies will arrive
Proč
soon.
nezůstaneš s těma svejma?
Get the hell out of here, Og. Golem City is where you belong. You and all the other body modders. Sick. Every last damn one of you. You and all the other body modders. Sick. Every last damn one.
Okay, so let's check this. Eviction notice in English and then all the rest in Czech. Płatności, something about payment. I don't recognize the month. As I said, I can't really read Czech. I can understand some of the words just because they are similar to Polish. But in general, I feel like this eviction notice is kind of hilarious, because you have the headline in English, and then all of the details are in Czech. So if you're a Czech citizen that doesn't speak, doesn't read English, then the headline is gibberish for you, but you can probably get the details from this. Whereas if you're a person that doesn't read Czech, then you start reading the eviction notice, and it fills you with hope that you might actually be able to understand it or something, and then you run into the details that are all in Czech, which is a little bit nonsensical, but maybe I can actually help this guy that's being evicted.
Please, leave me alone.
Apparently not. Yeah, he has crates of... He has crates of neuroposin, because he's an aug, although he must have augmentations that are really small, because I don't see any of those that alter your arms or legs or something. Now, obviously, I'm not going to steal from him. That would be cruel. He's in a difficult enough situation, but I will still explore his apartment just to see if I can find something interesting here. Argument 2. Okay, whatever. Stove. Some magazines, makeup samples, new fashion, blah blah blah. Is Rabia the wonder of something? Well, probably not. There's actually like an unwritten rule about headlines that whenever a headline is a question, you can safely assume that the answer is probably no, and it's just basically a clickbait. Do not touch my damn sandwich. B. Ashley for spaghetti in lieu of balls. What? What? What does that mean? For spaghetti in lieu of balls. I have no idea what that means. Weekend list. Beer, whiskey, smokes, whistle, undies, socks, poncho, lucky toothpicks, styrofoam, rope, camera. Okay, that sounds like an interesting evening. Can't really read those. Some mathematical formulas, thermodynamics, paint bucket, blow up doll 4. What? Okay, that sounds kind of pervy. Calendar with cats. Again, I'm not going to steal his money. If he was supposed to paint this woman here, then he's not much of a painter, but then I'm not either. More paint. Fruit. Is that like a loved one or something? Because he has her photo near his bed as well. Although, then again, he also has a bra. So I'm not quite sure what exactly was he doing with the photo. Maybe I shouldn't think about it too hard. I can use his shower. It's pretty hilarious. But I'm not going to do that, obviously. It would be immensely weird, all things considered. Okay, this looks weird. It looks like some kind of a conspiracy board. He has photos of different locations and some stickies. Kinetic, question, proactive, loyal, methodical, out of the box, diverse, synergy, bold. fuck is that? Okay, this is a little bit suspicious. If I were the police, I would at the very least question him about this. This seems weird. Well, anyway.
Please, leave me alone.
It looks like I can't really help him. So I guess off I go. And it has been an hour already, so I guess that's all I can do for now. So I'm going to save and actually end it here. I haven't accomplished anything in terms of action, but I was still thoroughly entertained just by exploring the locations, which in itself is like a giant praise for the game, right? And I guess a weird presentation of my own way of playing games and of the things that I enjoy. But anyway, I'm having a lot of fun despite not much having happened so far. But still, it has been about an hour, so I feel like that is enough. I'm going to end it here. That's all for this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!